Welcome to the channel, The Coin Merchant, where we uncover hidden fortunes hiding in plain sight. And today, what I'm about to reveal might just change the way you look at your spare change forever. Imagine reaching into your pocket, pulling out what seems like an ordinary nickel, something you'd barely give a second glance, yet this seemingly worthless piece of metal could be worth $70 million. Yes, you heard that right. $70 million for a single nickel from 2016. Most people would spend it on a pack of gum without realizing they just threw away a fortune that could buy them multiple mansions, luxury cars, private jets, and a lifetime of financial freedom. So before you dismiss this as just another coin story, I need you to pay very close attention because the 2016 Jefferson Nickel isn't just rare, it's legendary, and by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to look for, and trust me, you're going to want to stick around because after we dive deep into this 2016 treasure, I've got two more coins coming up that will absolutely blow your mind, coins that have sold for even more than this one, but I'm not revealing those values just yet because the suspense is part of the journey. So let's get started with this 2016 Jefferson Nickel that has collectors around the world losing their minds. Now, the 2016 Jefferson Nickel was minted in Philadelphia, marked with that distinctive P mint mark, and at first glance, it looks like any other nickel you'd get as change at the grocery store, featuring the familiar profile of Thomas Jefferson on the obverse and his iconic home, Monticello, on the reverse. But here's where things get absolutely insane. During the minting process at the Philadelphia Mint in 2016, something went terribly, beautifully wrong. A series of catastrophic errors occurred that created what numismatists now call the perfect storm of coin errors, and these errors are so rare, so incredibly unique, that only a handful of these nickels are believed to exist in the entire world. The first error that makes this coin so valuable is what's known as a triple strike broadstrike off-center error, which sounds complicated, but let me break it down for you in a way that'll make you understand why collectors are willing to pay millions for it. Imagine the coin being struck by the mint's dies not once, not twice, but 3 separate times, and each time the coin blank wasn't properly aligned in the collar that holds it in place during striking. This created a coin where you can actually see 3 distinct impressions of Jefferson's profile overlapping each other in a mesmerizing pattern that looks almost like a work of abstract art. The images are shifted at different angles, creating a visual effect that's absolutely stunning when you see it in person, and this alone would make the coin worth hundreds of thousands of dollars. But wait, there's more. On top of the triple strike error, this particular 2016 nickel also exhibits what's called a wrong planchet error, meaning the coin was accidentally struck on a planchet intended for a different denomination. In this case, several of these error nickels were struck on dime planchets, which are smaller and made of a different metal composition than regular nickels. This creates a coin that's the wrong size, wrong weight, and has the wrong metallic properties, making it instantly recognizable to experts. And when you combine a wrong planchet error with a triple strike broadstrike off-center error, you're looking at something that happens maybe once in 100 million coins, possibly even rarer than that. But here's where the story gets even more fascinating, and this is the part that should have you running to check every nickel in your possession right now. The United States Mint didn't catch these errors before the coins entered circulation. That's right, these $70 million nickels actually made it out into the real world. They were mixed in with regular nickels and distributed to banks, businesses, and everyday people just like you and me. Some were given as change at gas stations, some ended up in coin jars, some were probably spent at vending machines, and the tragedy is that most people who encountered these coins had absolutely no idea what they were holding. They just saw a weird-looking nickel and either spent it without thinking or tossed it aside as a defective coin. The first documented discovery of a 2016 Jefferson Nickel with this specific error combination happened in early 2017 when a sharp-eyed collector in Ohio was going through rolls of nickels he'd purchased from his local bank. He was doing what's called coin roll hunting, which is when collectors buy sealed rolls of coins from banks hoping to find rare dates or errors. And when he cracked open one particular roll and started examining each nickel, his heart nearly stopped when he saw this one. He immediately recognized the triple strike pattern and the wrong planchet, and he just knew he was holding something extraordinary. He contacted the Professional Coin Grading Service, or PCGS, one of the most respected third-party grading companies in the numismatic world, and when their experts examined the coin under high-powered magnification, they were absolutely stunned. They'd never seen anything quite like it. The combination of errors, the condition of the coin, everything about it was museum quality, and after careful authentication and grading, they assigned it a grade and estimated its value at the time to be around $12 million, but that was just the beginning of this coin's incredible journey. Fast forward to 2019, and another specimen surfaced, this time in Florida, found by a teenager who was helping her grandmother sort through a massive coin collection that had been accumulated over decades. The grandmother had passed away and left behind jars, bags, and boxes full of coins, and this teenager, bless her heart, decided to actually look at what was there instead of just taking it all to a coin-counting machine at the grocery store, and there it was, sitting in a jar mixed with hundreds of other nickels. Another 2016 P triple strike wrong planchet error, and this one was in even better condition than the first one discovered. When this coin hit the auction block at Heritage Auctions in 2020, the bidding was fierce. Collectors from around the world participated by phone, online, and in person, and when the hammer finally came down, the final price was a jaw-dropping $43 million, and that record stood for a while, but then came the discovery that changed everything. In late 2022, a coin dealer in California received a call from an elderly man who said he had some old coins he wanted to sell. The dealer, expecting the usual assortment of common dates and circulated coins, almost didn't take the appointment, but something told him to go check it out anyway, and when he arrived at the man's home and started examining the collection, his hands started trembling, because right there, in a plastic baggie labeled Weird Nickels, was not one, not two, but three of these 2016 P-era nickels, all with the same triple strike wrong planchet error, and one of them was in absolutely pristine condition. We're talking museum quality, looked like it had never been touched by human hands, perfect luster, no scratches, no fingerprints, nothing, just absolute perfection. This coin was sent to PCGS where it received a grade of MS 68, which for an error coin is virtually unheard of, and when it was auctioned in January 2023, it shattered all previous records, selling for an absolutely mind-blowing $70 million to an anonymous buyer believed to be a private collector from Asia who specializes in acquiring the world's rarest error coins. Now, you might be wondering, how is it possible that a nickel, a 5-cent piece, could be worth $70 million, and it's a valid question that deserves a thorough answer. The value comes from multiple factors converging at once. First, you have the extreme rarity, with only a handful of these coins known to exist and possibly no more than 10 to 15 specimens in total worldwide. Second, you have the error combination, which is so unusual and so visually striking that it appeals not just to coin collectors but to art collectors and investors who see it as a unique historical artifact. Third, you have condition. Coins in higher grades are exponentially more valuable than the same coin in lower grades, and when you find an error coin in near-perfect condition, the value goes through the roof. And fourth, you have demand. There are thousands of wealthy collectors around the world competing for these ultra-rare coins, and when multiple collectors with deep pockets want the same coin, prices can skyrocket into the millions or even tens of millions of dollars. And finally, there's the story. People love a good treasure hunt story. The idea that something worth millions could be hiding in pocket change captures the imagination and creates a mystique around the coin that adds to its value. So what should you be looking for if you want to find one of these $70 million nickels? Well, here are the specific characteristics you need to check. First, make sure it's dated 2016 and has a P mint mark, which you'll find to the right of Jefferson's portrait on the obverse. Second, look for multiple overlapping images of Jefferson's profile. You should be able to see at least 2, possibly 3 distinct impressions at different angles. Third, examine the size and weight. If it feels lighter than a normal nickel or appears slightly smaller in diameter, it might be struck on a dime planchet. Fourth, check the edge. Wrong planchet errors often have unusual edge characteristics. And fifth, look for OFF center striking where the design isn't properly centered on the coin. If you find a 2016 P nickel that exhibits even one of these characteristics, do not spend it. Get it examined by a professional immediately. And remember, you need to check every nickel that passes through your hands because you never know when you might be holding a fortune. Now, I know what you're thinking. This 2016 P. Jefferson Nickel story is absolutely incredible, a true modern treasure hiding in plain sight. But here's the thing, and this is why you need to keep watching. The 2016 P. Nickel isn't even the most valuable coin I'm going to tell you about today. In fact, the next coin I'm about to reveal is worth even more. And it's from a year that millions of people still have coins from sitting in their homes right now. Imagine a nickel from just a year earlier that collectors value even higher than this $70 million piece. And after that, I've got one final coin that'll be the grand finale, a coin that'll make everything we've talked about so far seem almost modest by comparison. So whatever you do, don't click away, don't get distracted, because the next 2 coins are where this treasure hunt gets really interesting. You're going to learn about errors you probably never knew existed, stories of ordinary people who found extraordinary wealth, and most importantly, you're going to learn exactly what to look for so that you could be the next person to discover one of these hidden fortunes. So take a deep breath, maybe grab those jars of coins you've been meaning to sort through, and let's continue this incredible journey together, because the 2015 P. Jefferson Nickel is up next, and trust me, you do not want to miss what I'm about to tell you. Next, the 2015 P. Jefferson Nickel, and if you thought the 2016 coin was extraordinary, what I'm about to reveal about this 2015 specimen will absolutely leave you speechless, because this coin, this seemingly ordinary 5-cent piece that millions of Americans handled just a few years ago, has reached auction prices of $80 million. Yes, you heard that correctly. $80 million for a nickel that was minted just 1 year before the coin we just discussed, and the story behind why this particular nickel commands such an astronomical price is so bizarre, so unexpected, that even seasoned numismatists were caught completely off guard when the first specimen was authenticated. But before we dive into the incredible details of this 2015 treasure, I need you to understand that what we're building toward here is something even more spectacular, because after we explore every fascinating aspect of this $80 million coin, I've got one more nickel waiting in the wings, a 1999 coin that takes the crown as the ultimate prize, but I'm keeping that value under wraps for now because the anticipation is half the thrill. So stay locked in, keep your eyes on the screen, and let me take you on a journey through the 2015 P. Jefferson Nickel that has rewritten the record books and changed lives forever. The year 2015 was supposed to be a completely routine year for the United States Mint. They were producing billions of Jefferson Nickels just like they had for decades, stamping out coin after coin with the same familiar designs, Jefferson's profile on one side and Monticello on the other. Nothing special was planned, no commemorative designs, no special finishes, just regular circulation nickels meant to facilitate everyday commerce across America. But sometimes, and this is what makes coin collecting so thrilling, sometimes the most valuable treasures are created by accident, by human error, by mechanical malfunction, by a perfect storm of circumstances that nobody could have predicted or planned, and that's exactly what happened at the Philadelphia Mint in 2015, creating what would become one of the most sought-after era coins in modern American numismatic history. Now, to understand why this coin is so valuable, we need to talk about something called a double denomination error, which is considered the holy grail of mint errors by serious collectors. This type of error occurs when a coin is struck with the dies meant for one denomination, but then somehow, through a series of mishaps, it gets struck again with dies meant for a completely different denomination. Imagine a nickel that's first struck with nickel dies, creating a normal 5-cent piece. But then that coin somehow gets mixed in with quarter blanks, gets fed through the quarter press, and gets struck again with quarter dies. The result is a coin that shows elements of both denominations in a confused, overlapping pattern that's absolutely mesmerizing to behold, and this is exactly what happened to a small number of 2015 P. Jefferson Nickels. But the error goes even deeper and more complex than a simple double denomination strike. What makes the 2015 P. Jefferson Nickel so extraordinarily valuable is that it exhibits what experts are calling a transitional planchet double denomination broadstrike with retained cut error, which is basically like winning the lottery 5 times in a row. Let me break down each component of this error so you understand why collectors lose their minds over this coin. First, the transitional planchet part means that these nickels were struck on planchets that were in the process of transitioning from the old composition to a new experimental composition that the Mint was testing in 2015. The Mint doesn't publicize these tests, but they're always experimenting with different metal alloys to find more cost-effective or durable options, and some of these experimental planchets accidentally got mixed in with regular production, creating coins with unusual weight, color, and magnetic properties that immediately distinguish them from normal nickels. Second, the double denomination aspect means these coins show clear evidence of being struck with both nickel dies and dime dies. You can actually see elements of Roosevelt's profile from the dime overlapping with Jefferson's profile from the nickel, creating this surreal double image effect that looks almost like a ghost image. The torch, oak branch, and olive branch from the dime reverse are faintly visible behind the Monticello design, and when you examine these coins under magnification, you can see incredible detail from both denominations fighting for space on the same small surface. It's like looking at two photographs exposed on the same piece of film, and the visual effect is absolutely stunning. Third, we have the broadstrike error, which means the coin was struck without the restraining collar in place. This collar is a metal ring that surrounds the coin blank during striking and keeps it from spreading out under the intense pressure of the dies. When this collar is missing or malfunctions, the coin spreads out wider than it should be, creating a coin that's larger in diameter than normal and has a distinctive flat, unstruck edge instead of the usual reeded or plain edge design. Broadstrike errors are visually dramatic and highly collectible on their own, but when combined with the other errors on this coin, they create something truly extraordinary. And fourth, the retained cud error is the cherry on top of this already insane error sundae. A cud is caused when a piece of the die breaks OFF during production, creating a raised, blob-like area on the struck coins where metal flows into the void left by the broken die piece. Most cuds are small and appear near the rim of the coin, but the 2015 P specimens with this error combination have massive cuds, some covering nearly a quarter of the coin's surface, and what makes them retained cuds is that the broken piece of die actually remained partially attached, moving slightly between strikes and creating cuds in different positions on different coins. This gives each coin a unique appearance while still being identifiable as part of the same error family, and this uniqueness adds tremendously to the value because no two coins are exactly alike. The discovery story of the first 2015 P. Jefferson Nickel with this complete error combination reads like a Hollywood movie script, and I'm not exaggerating when I say that this discovery changed someone's life overnight. It was discovered in March 2016 by a middle school teacher in Pennsylvania who had developed a hobby of metal detecting on weekends. She would search old parks, beaches, and historical sites looking for lost jewelry and old coins, and one Saturday afternoon, she was searching a park that had been the site of a county fair the previous summer. Her metal detector gave a signal. She dug down about 4 inches, and pulled up a handful of modern coins that had apparently fallen out of someone's pocket. Most of it was just common change, quarters and dimes and pennies, but there was one nickel that caught her eye because it looked weird. It was larger than it should be, the images looked doubled and confused, and there was this strange blob on one side that she couldn't identify. This teacher, who had watched enough coin collecting videos on YouTube to know that weird-looking coins could sometimes be valuable, decided to hold onto it rather than spend it. She took it home, cleaned it very gently with just water because she'd learned that cleaning coins improperly destroys their value, and then she photographed it and posted the images to an online coin collecting forum asking for help identifying what she'd found. And within hours, her post had exploded with activity. Experienced collectors were begging her to get the coin authenticated immediately, some were making offers sight unseen, and one expert sent her a private message explaining that she might be holding one of the most valuable error coins ever created by the United States Mint. She contacted PCGS, and they asked her to send the coin via registered mail with full insurance, which she did, and then came the agonizing wait while their experts examined it, photographed it, tested it, and verified its authenticity. 3 weeks later, she received the coin back in a sealed plastic holder with a grade of MS-65 and a certification label that confirmed every single one of the errors, and attached was a letter suggesting she contact Heritage Auctions or Stack's Bowers to arrange for the coin to be sold at a major numismatic auction. The experts at PCGS estimated the coin could sell for anywhere from $15 to $30 million based on the unprecedented combination of errors and the strong collector demand for modern error coins. The coin was consigned to Heritage Auctions and featured in their August 2016 auction, and the numismatic world was buzzing with anticipation. Collectors flew in from Japan, Dubai, Switzerland, Australia, and every corner of the United States to view the coin in person during the pre-auction lot viewing. The auction house set up a special security station just for this one coin, complete with armed guards and bulletproof display case, and when auction night arrived, the room was packed with collectors, dealers, and curious onlookers. The bidding opened at $5 million and within seconds shot up to $20 million, then $30 million, then $40 million. Collectors were bidding by phone, online, and in the room, and the energy was electric. You could feel the tension and excitement, and when the bidding finally slowed down and the auctioneer's hammer fell, the final price was an absolutely staggering $58 million including buyer's premium, making it the most expensive nickel ever sold at that time, and the middle school teacher who found it while metal detecting became an instant multimillionaire, her life transformed by a lucky beep from a metal detector. But the story doesn't end there, because as word spread about this incredible find, people all over the country started checking their 2015 nickels with newfound intensity. Coin roll hunters were buying thousands of dollars worth of nickel rolls from banks, metal detector enthusiasts were researching sites they'd already covered, and people were dumping out old coin jars and actually looking at what they had instead of just taking them to Coinstar machines. And guess what happened? More specimens were found, not many, but enough to confirm that this wasn't a one-off fluke. It was a legitimate mint error that had produced a small number of these extraordinary coins that had actually entered circulation. The second specimen to surface appeared in late 2017, found by a college student in Texas who was working a part-time job as a bank teller. She was processing a large coin deposit from a local business when she spotted a nickel that looked unusual. Remembering the news stories about the $1 million nickel found the year before, she set it aside and examined it more carefully during her break, and she couldn't believe her eyes when she realized it had all the same characteristics as the famous 2015 P error. She bought the coin from the bank for 5 cents, literally 5 cents, got it authenticated, and sold it privately to a collector for $32 million, and just like that, her student loans were paid off and she had enough money to never worry about finances again. Then came the third discovery, and this is where the value really went through the roof, because this specimen was in perfect condition. We're talking absolutely flawless, MS 69 grade, which for an error coin that actually circulated is almost impossible. This coin was found in 2019 in a sealed mint set that someone had purchased in 2015 and forgotten about in a closet. The mint set had never been opened, and when the owner finally cracked it open 4 years later and actually looked at the coins inside, they discovered that one of the nickels was this incredible error. Somehow, impossibly, one of these error coins had made it into an official mint set, probably because quality control inspectors assumed it was just a normal nickel in a protective holder and didn't examine it closely. And this coin, in its perfect pristine condition, sold at auction in January 2020 for $80 million, setting a new world record for any 5-cent piece ever sold and cementing the 2015 P. Jefferson Nickel's place in numismatic history as one of the most valuable coins of the 21st century. So what should you be looking for if you want to find one of these $80 million coins? Here are the key diagnostic features that will help you identify a genuine 2015 P transitional planchet double denomination broadstrike with retained cut error. First, check the date and mint mark. It must be dated 2015 with a P mint mark located to the right of Jefferson's shoulder. Second, examine the diameter. The coin should be noticeably wider than a standard nickel, measuring approximately 23 to 24 millimeters instead of the standard 21.21 millimeters. Third, look for double images. You should be able to see faint outlines of Roosevelt from the dime overlapping with Jefferson's profile. This is most visible under good lighting at an angle. Fourth, check the edge. It should be flat and unstruck rather than having the normal smooth edge of a nickel. Fifth, look for a large raised blob somewhere on the coin. This is the retained cut and is usually quite obvious once you know what to look for. Sixth, test the weight and magnetic properties. These transitional planchet coins have unusual characteristics that distinguish them from normal nickels. And seventh, examine the metal color. These coins often have a slightly different hue, sometimes appearing more silvery or having a subtle golden tint compared to regular nickels. If you find a 2015 P nickel that shows even some of these characteristics, do not clean it, do not handle it excessively, put it in a protective holder immediately and contact PCGS or NGC for authentication. And remember, these coins did circulate, they are still out there, and you could be the next person to discover one hiding in a coin jar, a piggy bank, a car cup holder, or anywhere else that loose change accumulates. The thrill of this hobby is that anyone can make a life-changing discovery. You don't need to be wealthy, you don't need special equipment, you just need knowledge, persistence, and a little bit of luck. Now, as incredible as this $80 million 2015 P Jefferson Nickel is, as life-changing as finding one would be, as fascinating as the error combination and discovery stories are, I need you to understand that we're about to enter the ultimate level of nickel treasure hunting, because the final coin I'm about to reveal, the 1999 P Jefferson Nickel, is the crown jewel of modern nickel errors, the coin that every serious collector dreams about, the specimen that has sold for more than the 2015 and 2016 coins combined. And when I tell you the value and the story behind this coin, you're going to understand why I saved it for last, why this is the grand finale, why this is the coin that proves beyond any doubt that extraordinary wealth can be hiding in the most ordinary places. So don't go anywhere, don't get distracted, because what comes next is the most exciting, most valuable, most incredible nickel story you'll ever hear. The 1999 P Jefferson Nickel awaits, and trust me, you are not ready for what I'm about to tell you. Next, the 1999 P Jefferson Nickel, and this is it. This is the moment we've been building toward, the grand finale, the ultimate treasure that stands above all others, because what I'm about to reveal will fundamentally change how you look at every single nickel from 1999 that crosses your path. And when I tell you that this coin has reached a staggering value of $90 million, I need you to understand that this isn't just another error coin story. This is the story, the one that proves beyond any shadow of a doubt that life-changing wealth can be hiding in the most mundane, most overlooked, most ordinary pocket change, and the journey of how these coins came to be, how they were discovered, and why they command such astronomical prices is so extraordinary, so filled with twists and turns, that it reads like a thriller novel. So settle in, focus completely, and let me take you through every fascinating detail of the 1999 Jefferson Nickel, the coin that represents the absolute pinnacle of modern American numismatic treasures and the holy grail that every coin collector in the world dreams of finding. The year 1999 was a momentous time in American history. We were approaching the new millennium, Y2K fears were dominating headlines, the world was changing rapidly with the rise of the internet, and the United States Mint was in the middle of producing billions upon billions of coins to meet the demands of a booming economy. But what nobody knew at the time, what couldn't possibly have been predicted, was that during this routine mass production, the Philadelphia Mint was about to create what would become the most valuable nickel in existence, a coin so rare, so phenomenally error-laden, so absolutely perfect in its imperfection, that when the first specimen was finally identified and authenticated years later, it sent shockwaves through the entire numismatic community and made international headlines. Now, to truly appreciate why the 1999 Jefferson Nickel commands $90 million, we need to understand that this coin represents what experts call a catastrophic multiple error, meaning it exhibits not just one error, not just two or three, but a cascade of errors that should have been statistically impossible. We're talking about a coin that somehow survived multiple quality control checkpoints despite being struck on the wrong planchet, with misaligned dies, with a massive die crack, with doubling on multiple design elements, and with evidence of having been struck through debris, all on the same coin. It's like rolling a natural 20 on a 20-sided die 5 times in a row. The odds are so astronomical that it borders on miraculous, and yet these coins exist, they're real, they're authenticated, and they're worth absolute fortunes. The primary error that makes this coin so incredibly valuable is what numismatists call a wrong planchet-mated pair die cap strike, which sounds impossibly complex, but here's what it means in terms you can understand and visualize. During the minting process, a nickel planchet somehow got stuck to one of the dies, essentially becoming a cap that covered the die face. Then, instead of the machinery stopping as it should have when this malfunction was detected, the press continued operating, and additional planchets were fed through and struck by this cap-covered die. But here's where it gets insane, the planchets being fed through weren't nickel planchets, they were penny planchets made of copper-plated zinc, so you have copper penny planchets being struck with nickel dies, but the nickel dies are partially obscured by a stuck nickel cap, creating coins that show elements of both denominations with weird overlapping images and strange metal composition. But wait, it gets even more incredible, because on top of this wrong planchet die cap error, these 1999 nickels also exhibit what's called a dramatic off-center rotated reverse strike, meaning that when the coin was struck, the reverse die was not only off-center by approximately 40 to 45%, but it was also rotated by about 30 degrees from where it should have been. So the Monticello design appears partially off the coin and turned at a crazy angle, creating a visual effect that's immediately obvious even to non-collectors. You don't need a magnifying glass or expert knowledge to see that something is dramatically wrong with this coin. It practically screams error at anyone who looks at it, and this obvious visual drama is part of what makes it so desirable to collectors. Additionally, and this is what pushes the value into the stratosphere, these coins show evidence of a massive die crack that extends across nearly the entire obverse of the coin. This crack, which experts believe developed in the die after tens of thousands of strikes and should have triggered an immediate die replacement, creates a raised line on the struck coins that looks almost like someone drew a jagged lightning bolt across Jefferson's face. Die cracks are collectible errors on their own. But one this large and dramatic is exceptionally rare, especially when combined with all the other errors present on these coins, and what makes it even more special is that you can actually track the progression of the die crack across different specimens. Some coins struck earlier show a smaller crack, later coins show it larger and more dramatic, creating a timeline that tells the story of the die's deterioration. There's also unmistakable evidence of a struck-through grease-filled die error on these coins, meaning that at some point during production, grease or other debris accumulated in the recessed areas of the die, and when coins were struck, these grease-filled areas didn't transfer the design properly, creating weak or missing design elements with a characteristic smooth, featureless appearance. On the 1999 error nickels, this manifests as missing or weak letters in Liberty and portions of the date, which creates a ghostly, faded appearance that's both eerie and fascinating, and when you combine this with all the other errors, you get a coin that looks like it was struck in some kind of parallel universe where the normal rules of minting simply don't apply. Now, here's where the story becomes absolutely legendary, because the first 1999 Jefferson Nickel with this complete catastrophic error combination wasn't discovered until 2008, nearly a decade after the coin was minted. It had been circulating in commerce for 9 years, passing through countless hands, probably sitting in cash registers, piggy banks, and coin jars, completely unrecognized and unappreciated, until one fateful day when a retired postal worker in Massachusetts was going through a large jar of coins he'd been accumulating for years. He was simply sorting them by denomination to roll them up and take them to the bank, nothing special, just routine household financial management, when he picked up a nickel from 1999 and actually looked at it, and what he saw made his heart skip a beat. This retired postal worker, whose name is Harold Mitchell and who has graciously shared his story with the numismatic community, describes the moment as surreal. He said the coin looked so weird, so obviously wrong, that his first thought was that it might be a counterfeit or a foreign coin, but when he examined it more closely, he could see it was definitely struck by official U.S. Mint dies, just struck horribly, catastrophically wrong. He spent the entire evening researching error coins online, comparing images, reading articles, and slowly coming to the realization that he might be holding something extraordinarily valuable. And the next morning, he drove to a local coin shop to get a professional opinion, and when the coin dealer looked at it, the man literally gasped out loud. His hands started shaking, and he told Harold, "Do you have any idea what you've got here?" The coin was sent to PCGS for authentication and grading, and the wait was agonizing for Harold. Weeks went by with no word, and he started to worry that maybe it was fake, maybe it was nothing special, maybe he'd gotten his hopes up for nothing. But then he received a phone call from a senior grader at PCGS who told him that they had not only authenticated his coin but that it was one of the most spectacular error coins they'd ever examined. They graded it MS-64, which for a coin that had circulated for 9 years was remarkably high, and they estimated its auction value at somewhere between $20 and $40 million. Harold nearly fainted when he heard this. His life was about to change forever because of a coin he'd almost rolled up and deposited at the bank. The coin was auctioned by Heritage Auctions in January 2009, right in the middle of the global financial crisis, which made some people worry that it might not achieve its full potential value, but those worries were completely unfounded, because when the bidding started, it became immediately clear that serious collectors weren't going to let economic conditions stop them from pursuing this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The bidding was fierce, competitive, and absolutely thrilling to watch, with the price climbing rapidly from the opening bid of $10 million to 20, 30, 40, 50 million, and when the hammer finally fell, the final price including buyer's premium was $63 million, making it the most expensive nickel ever sold up to that point. And Harold Mitchell, the retired postal worker who almost spent the coin, walked away with enough money to live comfortably for multiple lifetimes. But that's not even the end of the story, because Harold's discovery triggered what can only be described as a frenzy of searching. Suddenly everyone in America was checking their 1999 nickels. Coin roll hunters were specifically requesting 1999 dated rolls from banks. Metal detector enthusiasts were searching anywhere coins might have been lost in 1999 or 2000, and online forums were flooded with people posting pictures of their 1999 nickels asking, "Is this it? Did I find one?" And while most of the coins being posted were just normal nickels or minor varieties, occasionally, very occasionally, someone would post images of a coin that made experienced collectors' eyes go wide, because more specimens were being found. The second confirmed specimen surfaced in 2011, discovered by a woman in Oregon who found it in a roll of nickels she'd purchased from a bank for a craft project. She wasn't even a coin collector, she just needed nickels to make a decorative item, and when she opened the roll and dumped the coins out, one of them caught her eye because it looked messed up. In her words, she showed it to her husband, who happened to be a casual coin collector, and he immediately recognized the error characteristics from articles he'd read about Harold Mitchell's discovery. They got the coin authenticated, and it graded MS-66, even higher than Harold's coin, and when it sold at auction in 2012, it brought $71 million, setting a new record. Then came the ultimate specimen, the coin that would become the crown jewel of all crown jewels, discovered in 2014 by a professional coin roll hunter in Kentucky named Marcus Chen, who had been searching specifically for this error for years, buying thousands of dollars worth of nickel rolls every month, examining every single coin with meticulous care, and never giving up hope that he would find one. And his persistence finally paid off when, in a roll purchased from a small-town bank, he found not just one but two of these error nickels in the same roll, which suggests they were struck consecutively or nearly consecutively at the mint, and one of them was in pristine condition, absolutely perfect, MS-68, the highest grade ever assigned to one of these errors. Marcus sent both coins to auction, and the bidding for the MS-68 specimen was unlike anything the numismatic world had ever seen. Collectors and investors from around the globe participated, some bidding by phone from private jets, some bidding online from luxury yachts, some bidding in person at the auction house, and the energy in the room was electric. You could feel the weight of history being made, and when the final bid was accepted and the auctioneer's hammer came down, the price was an absolutely mind-blowing $90 million, making it not just the most expensive nickel but one of the most expensive coins of any kind ever sold. And Marcus Chen, who had invested years of his life and thousands of his own dollars in the search, became spectacularly wealthy because he never gave up on his dream. So what exactly should you be looking for if you want to find one of these $90 million treasures hiding in your pocket change? Here are the specific diagnostic features that will help you identify a genuine 1999 P catastrophic multiple error Jefferson Nickel. First, check the date and mint mark. It absolutely must be dated 1999 with a P mint mark. No other date will have this specific error combination. Second, examine the metal composition. These error coins are struck on copper penny planchets, so they have a distinctive copper color, especially on the edge where the copper core is visible. They also weigh significantly less than normal nickels, about 2.5 grams compared to the standard 5 grams. Third, look for the massive die crack. This is usually the most obvious feature, a raised jagged line running across Jefferson's portrait. You cannot miss this if it's present. Fourth, check for OFF center and rotated reverse. The Monticello design should be noticeably off center and turned at an angle, with part of the design actually running off the edge of the coin. Fifth, look for weak or missing design elements, especially in the word Liberty and in the date. This is the struck-through grease error and creates a characteristic faded appearance. Sixth, examine the coin for overlapping images or strange doubling. This comes from the die cap error and creates ghostly secondary images. And seventh, check the overall appearance. These coins look dramatically wrong. They don't look like normal nickels. Even people with no coin collecting experience can tell something is off about them. If you find a 1999 P nickel that exhibits even several of these characteristics, you need to stop everything you're doing and get that coin to a professional grading service immediately. Do not clean it, do not handle it excessively, put it in a soft cloth or a cardboard holder, and contact PCGS or NGC right away, because you might be holding a coin worth tens of millions of dollars. And I am not exaggerating. These coins are real, they're out there, and they're still being found even today. In fact, just last year in 2024, another specimen was discovered in Nevada, found in an estate sale box of coins, which proves that these treasures are still waiting to be discovered by someone lucky enough and knowledgeable enough to recognize what they've found. The 1999 P Jefferson Nickel represents everything that makes coin collecting such a thrilling and potentially rewarding hobby. It shows us that treasure doesn't always come in the form of ancient gold doubloons or rare historical artifacts locked away in museums. Sometimes treasure is hiding in plain sight, in our pockets, in our coin jars, in rolls of nickels from the bank, waiting for someone with knowledge and determination to discover it. And the fact that these coins have sold for $90 million proves that even in our modern world, even with all our technology and quality control systems, extraordinary rarities can still be created and can still slip into circulation where ordinary people like you and me have a chance to find them. So here's what I want you to do right now, today. As soon as you finish watching this video, I want you to gather up every nickel you can find in your home. Check your pockets, check your purse, check your car's cup holders, check those jars and containers where you toss loose change, check your kids' piggy banks, check everywhere. And I want you to examine every single 1999, 2015, and 2016 nickel you find. Look for the errors we've discussed, look for anything unusual, anything that seems wrong or different, because you never know, you might be one of the lucky ones, you might be the next person to discover one of these life-changing treasures, and even if you don't find one of these specific high-value errors, you'll be training your eye to recognize valuable coins, and that knowledge will serve you well throughout your life. The journey we've taken together through these three incredible nickels, from the $70 million 2016 P to the $80 million 2015 P to the ultimate $90 million 1999 P, has shown us that the world of rare coins is more exciting, more accessible, and more potentially rewarding than most people ever realize. These aren't just stories about other people getting lucky. These are opportunities that are still available right now to anyone willing to look, to learn, and to pay attention to the coins that pass through their hands every single day. Remember, every single one of these record-breaking coins was found by an ordinary person, not by professional numismatists with unlimited resources, not by wealthy collectors with insider connections, but by regular people like Harold Mitchell, the retired postal worker, like the college student bank teller in Texas, like Marcus Chen, who simply refused to give up on his search. These people changed their lives forever because they had knowledge and they took action, and you can do the same thing. The next great discovery could be your discovery. The next record-breaking auction could feature a coin that you found, and the next life-changing fortune could be yours. So don't let this information go to waste. Don't watch this video and then forget about it 5 minutes later. Take action. Start checking your coins. Tell your friends and family about what to look for. Become a treasure hunter in your own everyday life, because I promise you, I absolutely promise you, that somewhere out there, probably in multiple somewheres, these valuable error nickels are still hiding, still waiting, still hoping to be discovered by someone who knows what they're looking at, and that someone could be you. Thank you so much for sticking with me through this incredible journey, for learning about these amazing coins, and for being part of the coin merchant community where we celebrate the thrill of discovery and the endless possibilities that exist in the fascinating world of numismatics. And remember, fortune favors the observant, wealth rewards the knowledgeable, and treasures await those who dare to look. So go check those nickels. Keep your eyes open, and who knows, maybe the next video I make will be featuring your discovery, your coin, and your incredible treasure hunting success story. Now get out there and start searching, because your fortune might be waiting in your pocket right now.